In 2020, COVID-19 hit the world where it hurts most. Already vulnerable children and their families were left in even greater need.
The storm is upon us.
The coronavirus. The world is on the brink of a hunger pandemic, pushed millions into starvation.
Not on our watch.
Some professional athletes and coaches are teaming up.
We partnered up with Compassion International
to raise enough money for 70,000 kids.
I'm Case Keenum.
I'm Alyssa Nair.
My name's Carson Palmer.
I'm Billy Jess.
I'm Jacob Slavin.
I'm Maggie Myers.
I'm Dakota Dozier.
I'm Jason McCourty.
I'm Devin McCourty.
I'm Elizabeth Eddy.
And I'm teaming up.
I'm teaming up.
I'm teaming up.
And we're teaming up.
We teamed up because we know this is a stadium that cannot remain empty. Let's go.
Well, it is great to be back with you here on the Weekly Slant, and it's just been a special time between Brock Hewitt, Jason Romano, and myself to share these shows with you. And, you know, this is one of those weeks where everybody pauses to think about, what are we thankful for? And what are we practicing gratitude for? And what are we pausing and taking that time to be intentional about that? And I think so much of it is taking that moment from this week and really expanding it to 365 days and 52 weeks a year, because gratitude is just something that is so important. So I will sit here and express my gratitude that I get to have these conversations and share these conversations with you. And that, of course, goes to the Weekly Slant and the Sports Spectrum family. And it also goes to Compassion International, because they are the sponsor of this episode of the Weekly Slant. And we are still asking that you help us to fill the stadium, to release children all across the world from poverty. It's so easy to do. Fillthestadium.com. Go check it out. You can go to Compassion International, check out their website, sponsor a child. There's so many great things that you can do to make a meaningful impact that will have somebody else expressing gratitude for just filling some of their basic needs. And my guest tonight is going to talk about that and why it's a meaningful charity to him and one that he is involved with. And you'll be able to see that involvement come Sunday by looking at his cleats, because it's My Cleats, My Cause weekend in the National Football League. And he is currently the longest tenured Patriot on the roster. And during the shutout against Atlanta, Bill Belichick gave him a game ball. It was his 200th career Patriots game, and he is one of only 5 Patriots in history. 5 Patriots in history have played at least 200 games in a New England uniform. So Matthew Slater has accomplished a great amount, and he has football in his genes. And it was really fun to have a conversation that encompassed really all of this with him. Here's Matthew Slater. Well, Matthew, it is so great to have you here with us on the Weekly Slant. Thanks for making the time. How are you?
I'm doing great. I really appreciate you having me. This is a fun season of life right now. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm very blessed, so excited to be here.
This is one of those weeks where people practice intentional gratitude, right? With Thanksgiving, and people stop to pause and say, okay, these are the things that I'm grateful for. Strikes me that's something that you probably practice intentionally throughout the course of the year, not just on Thanksgiving week. But as you think about this season, what are the things that you are thankful for?
Yeah, I mean, that's such a tough question. when I think about all that God has done in my life, I'm just absolutely floored. And just the fact that we get to have daily fellowship with him and have a relationship with him is something that leaves me in awe constantly. But I think about how good he's been, blessing me with the family that I have, allowing me to pursue a dream that I've had since I was a young person. It's just too much to count. And I'm just so grateful for all the things he continues to do and the ways he continues to provide.
I want to go back a little bit. And, I think about you back in 2008, a 5th-round pick out of UCLA. And my guess, I remember talking to Julian Edelman years ago, and he told me the phone call with Bill Belichick was something like, yeah, we have no idea where you're going to play and what you're going to do for us, but we know you can play football. Something tells me you might have got a similar phone call. And I just wonder, as you reflect on that and then where you are now, are you awestruck? What is your reaction to think on that?
Yeah, my phone call was very similar. My college career was very unique. I never started a game in college. I played 3 different positions. So many would have said I wouldn't have even had a chance to play in the NFL. But I think for me, when I think about my story, it is a prime example of God's grace. His grace has been extended to me in so many ways that I really can't count. And the fact that I'm in the position that I'm in now, still playing football at my age, and have been able to be a part of so many cool things, it just brings me to my knees. I'm so thankful for the ways that the Lord has showed up, the ways he's provided for me and my family, and the opportunities he's given me. I mean, none of the credit goes to me. It all goes to him.
You got credit from your coach in Bill Belichick last week when you got the game ball for your 200th game as a member of the New England Patriots. Can you just tell me a little bit about what it means to you to have moved into the leadership role that you have within that organization?
Yeah, leadership is something that I've always been passionate about. I think the way that my father raised me and some of the mentors I had in my life at a young age, they always encouraged me to lead. They always encouraged me to go against the grain. And, I think as a Christian, we're all called to lead in some capacity. So to be able to do it in the setting that I'm doing now, in a locker room with men that I love, men that have seen me at my worst, men that have seen me at my best, where I can be totally transparent and vulnerable, it really means a great deal to me. And it's very humbling that the people within that building trust me to lead in the ways that they've allowed me to. So I'd say at this point in time in my career, it's one of the things I look forward to the most, to be able to pour into young men, to be able to encourage everyone to pull the rope in the same direction. And my leadership style, people always ask me, well, what's your leadership style? I try to lead the way that Christ led. I try to serve these guys. I try to remain humble, remember where I came from, and remain grateful, which is only appropriate this time of year, but to remain grateful for every experience, every relationship, and every opportunity that the Lord has provided me with.
I just wonder, does your message change, or is it just sort of the framework and the way you deliver the message that changes over the course of different seasons?
Well, I think a little bit of both. I think for certain teams, the message needs to be a certain one, depending on the group, depending on how the season goes. And then in different seasons, when you're faced with different challenges or different successes, the message needs to adapt and change. I do think at the core of my message, and many people probably don't realize this, is a lot of gospel principles. And I think it's great that I'm able to slip the gospel in, even in ways that people wouldn't expect it, and really use my platform to really point to something bigger and deeper than myself, which is my relationship with Christ. So, that's fun. That's the challenge of leading, is knowing when to apply the appropriate message and how to deliver it. And thankfully, the Lord's given me some ability to do that by using the wisdom that He's given me through His Word.
Yeah. Do you find that ultimately all the messages just go back to Him?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I used to be a little bit more discreet about it when I was younger, but now, I was laughing with Jade McCarthy a couple of weeks ago, and right before I broke the team down, I brought my Bible and I read out of it, and I said, you know what? I mean, at this point, I'm unashamed, and they know who I am, and if they don't like it, then they can find someone else to break the team down. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at on it now. I'm taking advantage of being the old guy and, trying to give these guys something that'll last them longer than the time spent in that locker room well into their, adult lives.
Yeah. Well, look, you're not alone. I mean, we saw the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, Frank Reich, quoting the gospel in his post-game press conference just a couple of days ago. So it is pretty incredible when people are willing to be open and forward in sharing their faith. Specific to this team in this season, what has your message been to them that you can share with us here?
Yeah, certainly. I think that early on in the year, we faced a great deal of adversity. We started the season 2-4. And for me, it was a great time for us to talk about dealing with adversity. Romans 5 and James 1 were certainly passages that came to mind, and being able to kind of use the messaging there and present it to the team. I think it's easy to feel sorry for yourself when things aren't going your way. But the Bible teaches us that times of adversity build character. They build us up in ways that we're lacking. They teach us about dependency on God and on something bigger than ourselves, which is our Lord and Savior. And just, that everything that happens within those times happens for a reason. And if we choose to see it as such, it can be very beneficial for us. So I encourage the guys in that way. I think as the season has gone along, we've talked about humility. We've talked about 1 Corinthians, all of us being members of one body and having a different role within that body.
Sure.
So I think we've gotten a chance to talk about a lot of different things this year based on how the year has gone for us. It's been great for our guys. They've really responded well to it. And, I'm just so proud of the locker room that we have. We have men with character and resolve, men that love one another and are really working hard at what they're doing. And it's been fun to be a part of.
And you certainly can see some payoff, at least right now. And of course, you got to stay humble when you're riding a winning streak like the one that you guys have been of late. But the axiom for as long as I can remember in New England is, hey, the season starts after Thanksgiving. And all of a sudden you will play your first game after Thanksgiving, and lo and behold, you guys are in first place in the AFC East. So, what is your message as you continue to move forward, being in that position now?
I think you just hit the nail on the head. For us, humility is so important. There's one thing I know about the NFL is that you can be humbled very quickly. Today's success is tomorrow's failure if you let it become that. So you really we have to stay grounded. For us, we've always been a team who's been more focused on the process. I mean, the process leads to results. So I think we have to continue to stay focused on our process, build character throughout the process, continue to improve throughout the process. And then the results are going to be what they're going to be. But if you chase results all the time and you're interested in skipping the process, then it's not going to be sustainable. So for us, we're going to have to continue to have, I've heard a lot of guys say it, continue to have that 2-4 mentality, continue to work like our backs are against the wall, and see where that gets us. If we stick together and continue to believe in what we're doing, we'll see where that gets us.
One of the neat things about this time of year within the NFL is the My Cleats, My Cause program and initiative that was started several years back now. And I know you're going to participate in that. And the cleats are pretty sweet. So look out for them when you see Matthew out there on Sunday against the Titans. But take me as to why the cause on your cleats is so important on your heart, Matthew.
Absolutely. I remember the first time I ever was exposed to Compassion International. It was at a church in Southern California. I was with my parents, and I just remember being so moved by what they were doing, connecting with children around the world that are in very adverse poverty-stricken situations. Not only do they need the gospel, but they need the basic essentials: food, water, clothing, safety. And I just remember thinking to myself how fortunate I was to be in the situation that I was in, where I had a safe home. I didn't have to worry about where my next meal was coming from. I had a loving community that I was a part of. And I was just so moved by that. My heart was broken for those children. Fast forward, getting into the NFL and being even more exposed to compassion through our participation in PAO, getting a chance to meet with some of the leadership there, having friends that have been on missions trips with them. It just reaffirmed what I already felt about compassion. So for my wife and I, it's been great to be able to team up with Compassion, sponsor children, partner with the ministry, and see their vision continue to be lived out day in and day out. And to be a small part of that is such a blessing for us. But really, it's about the children. And for us, we feel like every child deserves just those basics. And, just having that can change the trajectory of a child's life. Obviously, having the gospel can give a child hope in any situation. So for us, we feel really strongly about it. We're happy to partner with Compassion International. They're doing a great thing, fill the stadium. Obviously, with COVID, the fundraising efforts and things like that are going to look different. But I think it's great that so many people from the professional community and other communities are rallying together to support these children in a fantastic way. So that's a little bit of a long answer there, but it's a ministry that we love, and I'm so happy to be able to partner with them.
Yeah, and I think even through COVID, we've seen God working with Fill the Stadium and showing us how much he can do and continues to do, because, given the situation that the world has been in and how close, the goal for Fill the Stadium, the gap is not that great now. Once again, it's just seeing God continue to work through all of us.
That's it. And God is so faithful. And when God is in the midst of any effort, that effort's going to be successful, regardless of how dire the situation may be, or, the outcome may look a little bit gloomy. But if he's involved, and I truly feel like God is involved in this ministry and has blessed this ministry over the years, then he can do special things. And I'm so thankful for the children of God that have decided to get behind this. There's been great leadership across the board. I personally think of a great friend of mine, Nate Solder, and his wife Lexi, the way that they've supported this ministry, the way that they've inspired Shazad and I to really get behind these efforts. But, I think about people like that and their faithfulness to the work being done here. And it really doesn't surprise me that the ministry continues to thrive even in the midst of COVID.
One of the things that strikes me is with Compassion, because I think about this with my own kids, and I have 4 little ones, is that it puts a face on it for my family and for my children as well, as they start to get older, because it's so different when it's a face and it's a person, and oh my gosh, he's my age or she's my age. And I just wonder, your family, which I understand is growing, probably feels that way too.
Certainly. And I think, as parents, and you can relate to this, we have a responsibility to teach our children certain things. And, the Bible calls us to look after the poor and the orphans and the widows. And I think, it's one thing to say that to our kids, but then for them to actually see it and to serve alongside us. And like you're saying, for them to see children not much older than them, in my children's case, is a powerful thing. And to be able to have conversations with my kids about children in need, families in needs, to talk to them about the way that we've been blessed, but how everyone's situation looks different. It's been great dialogue for our family. It's been challenging, certainly, when you're talking to a 6-year-old, 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
But I think that this is the dialogue and the intentionality that we want to operate within our home. And this is a great, great opportunity for us to do that and get them involved. So you're absolutely right there. And this is just a great learning experience for our children to be a part of as well.
And I said your family is growing, so I think that officially means congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, we're 18 weeks pregnant with our fourth, and my wife is a saint. I don't know how she does it. I'm off running around my friends playing football, and she's been willing to walk away from her career as a professional to raise our children, be here at home. Really just make sure that our family is rock solid here on the home front. So I couldn't do what I do without her. So thankful for her. We're so excited about having our fourth child. A little bit nervous, hoping that we're up for the challenge, but with the Lord's help, we're really excited.
Well, the biggest transition is always 0 to 1. So you guys got that one down and moved on from there. So at least that's been my perspective. That's always the biggest transition.
You're absolutely right about that.
You mentioned your parents and specifically your dad earlier. And, tip of the cap to Mike Reese, who covers you guys for ESPN on this number. But you and your dad combined have played in 491 games in the National Football League. And that is just a staggering number to me. And I wonder what that means to you and what he taught you that really stuck with you more than anything else.
Yeah, it's when I hear that number, it really doesn't sound real. And I think if you had both of us in a room and said that to us, we'd probably both start laughing because we're like, it can't be us, this couldn't have happened to us. My dad has taught me so much. The most important thing that my dad has ever taught me was the importance of having a relationship with Christ. And not only did he tell me that, but he modeled that for me and my brother David. And that's the one thing that I hold on to, obviously, closer than anything else he shared with me. So that has impacted my football career tremendously. He obviously showed to me and displayed discipline, hard work, commitment, humility, sacrifice, all those things he modeled, but I think all of them were flowing from the heart of a man who was surrendered to Christ. And that has left the lasting impact on my life. It's been an honor for me to play football and represent his name and follow in his footsteps. I mean, I always tell people if my dad had done anything else, whatever it had been, I would have wanted to have done that as well, because that's what he meant to me and my brother. And that's the type of man that he was. So if he had been, a secretary, I would have wanted to have been a secretary. If he had been a doctor, I would have wanted to have been a doctor. It just so happens that he played football, and my love for the game came from his love for the game. And it's really been an honor for me to represent my father and his name over the course of my career.
And what a privilege to be at the point that you are, Matthew. And like you said earlier, you're like, I'm just going to pull out my Bible and I'm just going to read from it, like to the whole team, like to be able to be that outward. And, God calls us to be bold, right? And that some would say is a bold act. So I just wonder like how that feels for you at this point.
I mean, it's God's favor. When I first got here in 2008, I didn't even want to open my mouth, period. I don't want to open my mouth to say I needed some water or, my back hurt or whatever it was. I didn't want to say anything. So to think about the journey that he has brought me on from that time until now, it's only God. And he's worked on my life, my heart as a man. He's continued to grow and challenge me in so many different ways. But to think about where he's brought me now, I couldn't have fathomed it. I would not believe if you told me 14 years ago that all these things would happen, and then that at the end of the game, you're going to address the team and you're going to read from your Bible. I would say no, absolutely not. You got the wrong guy. So it's really a testament to the favor of God in my life, which I have not earned in any way, shape, or form. It's just something that he's done. And I hope that I can to the best of my ability, carry the torch for as long as he will let me and represent him as best I can.
Well, we thank you so much for your time here with us. And of course, we wish you continued success this season and stay humble and hungry, right?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being able to have this conversation.
Well, once again, my thanks to Matt Slater. That was just a conversation that I just could have kept going. I mean, I could have asked him so many more questions, but there's so many things that he touched on that stood out to me. I love his boldness and his willingness to say, yeah, like it all comes from the Bible. So here we go. Like, this is where I am in my career. I'm just going to pick up my Bible and I am going to read from it. I love that boldness that he exhibits. And I certainly love the conversations about his dad and how, you know, he listened to his dad, but he also modeled his dad. And, you know, I've heard it said more is caught than taught. And I think that I heard that listening to Matt talk about growing up under his dad's tutelage. And, you know, well, if he was this, I would have wanted to be this too. But, you know, he played football, and sure enough, that is what Matthew has done as well. And he's made a tremendous career out of it. Just effusive praise from his coach and Bill Belichick, who, well, we all know that Belichick is not exactly effusive in his praise all the time, but when it is deserved, he is certainly willing to give it. So, you know, our thanks to Matthew Slater for being here and sharing this time with us, and catch him out on Sunday against Tennessee with those cleats on to represent Compassion International. They're pretty sweet. So definitely check them out. But he is trying to help with that final push to fill the stadium. 70,000 children in crisis. We are so close, so close. So help us close the gap and reach the goal and reach all of these children. You can help save the life of a child. So easy. All you have to do is head to fillthestadium.com. Fillthestadium.com. Help us reach the final push. Help Compassion get there to show the compassion that we all have for these children who are just dealing with extreme poverty around different parts of the globe. And as we think about this week and what we're grateful for, think about the things that are significant to you, just the little things when you wake up every day, like, wow, I'm here and I have a breath to breathe, and what can I give? And it's one of those weeks that it's great to pause and have that thought. And the more you do it, the more you'll find that it's better to do it day in and day out. So thanks for spending the time here with us on the Sports Spectrum Weekly Slant. I'm already looking forward to next time, and I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving.